And we're live. Good evening, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I'm your other host, Shorty, and today I am going to be reviewing Grimm. There's a few reasons why this one's got a bonus review on an evening. Firstly, it's just a Tuesday evening. I'm going to go role playing, so I've got a bit of time to kill. Secondly, and probably more importantly, Boom Studio have a bit of a thing for putting out like quite killer stuff like this. Once in Future is one of the best things I'm reading at the moment. I read and reviewed Something Is Killing the Children when it first came out, and sadly didn't pick it up because I thought it was interesting, could be exciting, but I was going to give it a few more issues. And by then it had sold out and become huge. But for everything they do that is like that is hugely popular, that people talk about, that ends up being a trending thing somewhere and goes to 7 or 8 prints. They also put out a bunch of stuff which never makes it that big. And I think the world, especially speculators, I suppose, is kind of always waiting for the next big thing that Boom Studio is going to do. And kind of the expectation, I think, is that everything they do could go that way, which is a pretty cool thing for Boom Studios. They've got some pretty solid... sorry, somebody just commented and I can't see. Eva Hyperfelvet. Yeah, a lot of stuff does. But yeah, it's pretty good that they've got a lot of really cool people working for them, and I can see why they'd put faith in pretty much anything they're putting out. Like, if you're going to produce comic books, you kind of expect everything to be great. If you think it's not going to be very good or middling, then you're not going to be that excited about it, and it's not a reason to put it out. Other reason to talk about it is I've just recently read The Many Deaths of Layla Starr, and I kind of like the fact that it doesn't quite fit into my usual fantasy or horror kind of stuff. If anything, it's far closer to being magical realism. Now, I am not going to pretend to be an expert on the subgenre of magical realism, other than it's something which sometimes I think something might be urban fantasy, and then I get told by people who actually study literature that it is actually magical realism. And I can see why the connection's there. Think of a world very, very much like our own, one that if you didn't know anything unusual was happening, you would suspect it was just our own world. A couple of prime examples of this one would be the Rivers of London series, Unlundone, and Neil Gaiman's Neverwhere. All of these take place in cities which run and operate exactly as we expect them to, unless you are one of the demi-monde. This is a similar kind of thing, except it's an afterlife that is actually real. Like, death isn't just the end. There is something else afterwards. And straight away, what's kind of nice about it is they don't have a set, like, this is heaven, this is hell. There's an understanding that what people see is what they expect to see. This is not particularly a unique facet of an afterlife. I've seen it done repeatedly throughout a lot of stuff. Even the latest Rivers of London book had a thing with an angel where some people would see her as an angel, but it very much came across that they're seeing what they expect an angel to look like, and some people would expect something different, reported seeing something different. So we're not talking anything like massively unique here, but it is still a lot of fun. You meet Abigail, the Grimm there. When you first meet her, it's rather excellent. There's quite a lot of foreshadowing that what you're seeing is actually a lethal car crash. It doesn't take her very long to confirm that this is the case. And while this is happening, a car stereo is playing Don't Fear the Reaper, just for fun. I mean, you can talk about subtext and any number of other interesting words when it comes to literary theory about why you put something like that in there. I'm sure there'd be some people telling you it's like, it's a very obvious but still foreshadowing. No, I think it's just fun. I just think Stephanie Phillips was talking about doing a comic book with a Reaper, or several Reapers, it turns out, and she wanted to put Don't Fear the Reaper in there. And I say, go for it. And it works. It runs quite nicely. Because when you do meet Abigail, she's fantastic. She has a look which I thoroughly enjoy. Give me 1 second, I'll find her first intro page there. That is spectacular. I do like the red boots. The sleeves of the top go down to gloved fingers, and the asymmetrical zip. I like the black hair and the makeup. Basically, really cool first look at a new character. When you've got a character who is the entire focus of a story, which didn't happen, let's say, once in the future, or even Something Is Killing the Children. They're about bigger, wider stories. With Grimm, you're literally about this Grimm. That is entirely what you're doing. So you need to have a good focus, and you needed something which people are going to remember. And I absolutely promise you're going to remember that. The artwork throughout the rest of it is fantastic as well. There's a lot of playing with different color palettes. For instance, you go from the cold blues and pale white, pale gray, should I say, of the actual death scene and the snow on the ground, to then a deep dark red with black undertones for when the journey on the river Styx, or whatever river Styx it actually is. They do say that there's lots of other things that the underworld could be. That playing with colour palettes lasts throughout, and it's absolutely fantastic. You kind of get a sense of, like, when you go to a different place, it's going to be represented differently. I realised I'm talking quite a lot without getting very far into this, so let's crack on quickly. You also have an introduction of a background character who's an absolute horrible person, but in a way that doesn't mean them an absolute villain. Like, they are not a super villain, they're not a mass murderer, but if you were talking about the good place system of morality, they're definitely going to the bad place. And this adds the initial frizz onto it and gives Grimm an actual plot to be doing more than just going and claiming souls, with various other people who all go and claim souls, all for some overt, over the what's what I'm looking for? Overmaster of Reapers. And that's because this guy steals her scythe, and without it, she goes back to Earth with her friends who have scythes, and she can be seen and is arrested when she's trying to get her scythe back by somebody nobody else can see because he is actually dead. That then begins the story. And I love just that simple nature of it. There wasn't really much else going on. There's a little bit of foreshadowing right at the end. But for the most part, you're talking about just dialogue between characters. You've got people talking to each other about the world, talking to each other about their past, talking to each other about what their choices are and where they've been. All of this is just character growth, and it's very, very effective for a first issue. Certainly enough that makes me think this could go somewhere and do something good. I don't think it has quite that urgent bite that Something Is Killing the Children had, but I don't think that means it's going to just fade away completely either. That's it. I've gone a minute over, so I'm really sorry. I am going to call it now, but I'll be back tomorrow. Until then, look after each other, everyone. Stay safe. Bye.